All right, any other questions before we move on to interviews? Nope. Okay. All right, so interview processes and techniques. So at this point in the job searching process, they've seen your resume, they've seen your application, they've probably looked you up on any form of social media that you have. So at this point, you're like 80% of the way there. Your foot is in the door. So you should have a really good attitude going into an interview. You want to be confident, enthusiastic, happy, and motivated. And of course, we all know the difference between being cocky and then being confident. Because you don't want to go into the interview already acting like you have the job, because that will be written across your forehead. And you also don't want to go into an interview acting like you won't get the job, because I've had that happen too, where people would come in and say, oh, I have this interview, but I know they're not going to hire me. I mean, that is written across your face too. And it can be shown through a Zoom meeting, it can be shown under a mask. I mean, employers know. And hiring managers, they know like what your attitude is like right when you walk into the door. Because it is 10% skill and then 90% your attitude and how you represent yourself. You don't want to go in there and kick your feet up on the desk. Like I said, and you think that this stuff doesn't happen, but it does. Like, people are... you never know. So I'm just saying, like, just those little tips. Or, not have eye contact with the person, your body language, you're slumped over, like you got your feet kicked up, got your phone on the table, whatever it is. Like, these are the types of things that they're looking for before you even start talking. And because it's that quick, 3 to 5 seconds to make that very positive first impression. And it's not just to the hiring manager, it's to every person that you come into contact with. And some top reasons as to why companies did not hire a qualified applicant, not just any applicant, but a very qualified one: poor attitude, bad-mouthing past employers or coworkers. I've got to say, that's like the kiss of death, is if you make one negative comment about past employer, coworker, it's almost like the interview's done at that point. Employers take that very, very seriously. Not being prepared, so coming in and just winging an interview. Some people are like, well, I got this, I can just go in and wing it, but usually it doesn't turn out very well for them. So it's really, really good to go ahead and be prepared. Lack of passion, interest, or enthusiasm. So maybe right now, whenever you guys are first getting started in your careers, sometimes you just need a job. We all know that. Stepping stones. I knew that my first job at Goodwill out of college was going to be a stepping stone job. But I did not tell my employer that whenever I was applying for the job. I did not let them know that I wouldn't be here. I did. I gave them good 4 years, but, I thought that I would be there less than that. So you definitely want to show that you have that passion and you're enthusiastic about wanting to work for them. Because if you just go in there and say, oh, I just really need a job, that's another kiss of death right there too. And so, and I like acronyms, and one I use a lot, it's called ABC. It's called Available, Better, and then Career. So sometimes, when you got to pay bills, when, you're just, looking for a better job, you just take what's available to you at that time. Sometimes you just take what's available, get through it, and while you're doing something available, you're looking for something better. And then when you're into something better, hopefully that can then turn into a career for yourself. So ABCs, the available, better, and career. And it's okay to have those stepping stone jobs. Just make sure that the employer doesn't know that, because they want longevity. Because it takes time, it takes money to hire someone. So they want to know that if they're going to hire you, that you're going to be around for a little while. Not researching the company, not knowing why you want to work for them, failing to ask questions about the job, not looking presentable. We'll get to that later too. Having unrealistic salary expectations, being overqualified or underqualified for the specific job, and failing to have a good resume and cover letter. Does anyone else want to take a guess as to why maybe companies don't hire qualified participants? Qualified applicants?
Because they don't want to pay that much for the employee, maybe? Somebody that's qualified would want more money if they have more experience?
Sometimes. Usually salary expectations aren't always mentioned in an interview. Sometimes they are. Most of the time they're not. Usually money comes up whenever you're being offered the position. Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Are there sometimes follow-up interviews after the first interview, or is it just always a hire?
Usually it depends on the company. I would have to say most of the time it's a phone interview first, and they're weeding out the applicants. So if they've got 10 qualified people and they want to only interview 4 or 5, they'll start with a telephone interview and then move into a first initial interview. And then if they're really having a hard time deciding who they want to hire, then maybe there will be a second interview.
And just would like to add to that an experience right here at the college where that absolutely happened. There were 3 really good top candidates, and after that first round, they wanted them to come back in to be interviewed a second time. And along with that, this time, Kevin, they asked them to perform something.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to now do a demonstration of how you might do a presentation, how you might do a spreadsheet, how you're interacting with other folks, because we walked them around and introduced them to people, and they were watching to see, how they are relatable to the team that they might work with. So not uncommon to get called on a second interview, and it's a good sign too.
Yes.
Good sign. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Is it usually communicated beforehand that there might be a second interview, or is it typically just kind of you go through the interview and then you'll get a call requesting a second one later? How does that work?
They usually tell you, but then that's also on you to ask what are the next steps. So at the end of your interview, whenever you're asking questions and it's coming towards the end and they ask you about, when should I expect to hear from you? What are the next steps? And it's perfectly fine for you to ask, will there be a second interview? Because even with my interview, they told me that there could possibly be a second one. There wasn't. But, they usually will tell you, so absolutely. So getting ready for the interview, those first impressions with the telephone. So going back to that, common sense is not common to everyone. If an employer is trying to get in touch with you and they can't, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to move on. So if you don't have a voicemail box set up and they can't leave a voicemail, they're going to go on to the next person. If your mailbox is full and they can't leave a voicemail, they're going to move on to the next person. So it's little things like that. You want to make sure that you have a professional voicemail, that you present yourself well whenever you answer the phone. That you have a professional email address. Right now you guys have your school email addresses, but you may want to go ahead and consider, just making a professional one just for job searching, so that way you don't get them confused. Maybe I have seen some hilarious email addresses. I'm sure you probably have too, Stacey. And a lot of the times an employer, if it's like something inappropriate, they most likely probably will not email you. So if you have a funny email or something, use that as your personal one, but it's always, always really important to have a very professional email whenever you're giving that out on your resume, on your application, whenever in a portfolio. It's really important to have those professional email addresses. Clean up your social media because they're absolutely looking at that. Treat everyone you come into contact with respect and professionalism, because when you walk in there, you don't know who the hiring manager is most of the time. You don't know who's going to be interviewing you, so you don't want to be rude to like the receptionist. You don't want to be rude to, whoever it is you come into contact with. The interview starts the minute you get there. The minute you get out of your car and you're in the parking lot, walking into the building. Because what are they going to do? They're going to go and tell the hiring manager, like, oh, this person was great, she was so sweet, whatever it is. But if you were rude, or if you sat there in the waiting area on your phone, that's what they're going to go and tell the hiring manager. So you want to be conscientious about every move that you're making whenever you're going into the interview. You want to be able to practice answering those common interview questions, being prepared for it. And that's what we're here to do to help you. Arrive early, research the company, and like I said, just be prepared. Interview setting, whenever you get there, smile, introduce yourself, have a firm handshake. Right now it's a little, people aren't really shaking hands. It's a, elbow or fist bump or whatever it is, but you still just want to present yourself well. While you're in the waiting in the lobby or in outer office, guys, I really encourage you, leave your phone in the car. Just don't even bring it in with you. That is a huge no-no to employers, is if they see you sitting out there on your phone. And with your portfolio, it's good to have just notes with you. You can have a planner, you can have your a binder, or sheets of paper with you that have questions on them or notes on them. Be studying those notes. Don't be looking at your phone, because that is just because they're going to assume that you're just going to be on your phone the entire time while you're working, right? So in this day and age, just leave it in your car. You want to dress appropriately, that golden rule. Dress one step above the workplace attire. So usually, if it's business casual, you dress like a step above that. And for your interview, so ladies, business suits or skirts, men, suits if you want, nice button up with a tie. And we can also help you with that too. I mean, we can really help you with every step of the process with this, and getting you guys ready for it. Not bringing food or drink or other people or cell phone to an interview. And then in the actual interview, this is a big one that this stuck with me when I had an employer tell me this one time, to avoid swivel chairs. Don't sit in a swivel chair, because you'll sit there and, because it's okay to be nervous. It is absolutely okay to be nervous going into an interview. I mean, of course you don't want to be in there like shaking, but be conscientious about that. If they ask to sit in a chair and it's a swivel chair, say, oh, can I sit, maybe another chair, get another chair, just so you're not sitting there like moving around in it. Don't click your pen. And with you being prepared, know like what your nervous tics are. Do you play with your hair? Do you play with jewelry? Do you shake your leg? Or go like this and the whole table's shaking? Because sometimes we don't know that we do it. We don't know. I know whenever I used to have like really long hair, and I would sit there and play with it when I got nervous. And that was something that I really had to, turn around, look at myself and say, wow, I do this. So how can I combat that? Or do I click my pen, or do I tap my pen? Because the interviewer, they're going to notice that before you do. So know what your nervous tics are and how you can combat those. If a panel interview, of course, you want to greet everyone that's in there. Make it a conversation, but don't babble. And that kind of helps ease those nerves a little bit whenever you try to make it a conversation, because, do you guys appreciate it when someone says, hey, how are you doing today? And you're just like, good. And they're sitting there staring at you, waiting for you to say something else. Well, that's the same thing in an interview. You don't want to make it like it's pulling teeth to get answers from you. But you still want to be conservative with your answers, no bad mouthing those past employers. Interview conclusion, just kind of jumping ahead a little bit because we're running out of time. You always want to have questions to ask the interviewer before you leave. Determine those next steps. When do you expect to fill the position? When can I expect to hear from you? If I don't hear from you, can I call you? And then ask for business cards, because without follow-up, if it is a panel, you absolutely, thank you cards are kind of a thing of the past, but if you want to do like an email thanking them for their time like a day or two later, that just keeps you at the forefront of their minds. So definitely get all of their information before you leave the interview as well. Show appreciation, highlight your skills again, and then, tell them you're looking forward to hearing from them once a decision is made.
I have a question.
Yes.
On here you're talking about like no bad mouthing past employers. I know sometimes they'll ask why you left your previous job.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people who've left it for conflict within the organization, like they have disagreements, so they feel like they're being treated poorly. Is explaining that, like I just felt like disrespected in the company, would you consider that bad mouthing? Or
Yes.
What exactly are you referring to?
So I always tell people to keep it as positive as possible, even because I have left a job under those circumstances where like me and the boss, we did not get along. We never saw eye to eye. We didn't agree on the same things, and it was just time for me to go. I wasn't fired, but I made that decision basically where it was like I would do better somewhere else. And whenever asked about that, I just said, I was looking for a better opportunity for myself. Brief, to the point, always keep it positive. If you were laid off, yes, you can say that. or, the company went out of business, which is very common right now with COVID. But I would not bring up any conflicts. I would not bring up any disagreements. Just keep it positive. I'm looking for a better opportunity for myself. I'm looking for, this job is within my career path, and these are my goals for myself. So always kind of keep it very positive whenever you're answering those types of questions. Yes, Stacey?
Yeah, and just to add to that, positive. One of those things that you might say is, I learned a lot while I was on this job, and I feel like I've developed some skills that I'm ready to kind of expand, and I'm just looking for the next good fit, and just, that's it. Try to be brief, don't mumble a whole lot, but always keep it positive. Even if it was bad, just say, I learned a lot there. And, really excited to put my skills to work in a new environment, in a new place, and which brings me here today. So thank you for the opportunity to interview. And then you're done, ready for your next question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir.
And then you said it's okay to mention being laid off. Like I had that happen in one of my jobs. So if employment downsizing, that would be okay to mention.
Yes. But see, along with that, and then even though I was laid off, this is what I can bring to your company. This is what led me to your company. This is why I want to work for you. So even if something like that happened, and since COVID happened, the pandemic, that is super common right now. So employers, they're a little bit more, I guess lenient kind of with that question, because one of the questions about common interview questions is, why are you seeking a career change, or why are you seeking another employment opportunity? I mean, they do say that once you have a job, it is easier to go out and find another job. And sometimes that question will go up. But just know with them asking questions like that, it's a test. They're testing you to see what kind of answer you're going to give them. And so if you keep it positive and, being laid off, things you can't control, those are fine to answer those ways. Real quick, some common interview questions, and like I said, more details are listed in this packet. And tell me about yourself. I hate that question. That is the most dreaded question, even just in my everyday life. I don't like telling people about myself. But this tell me about yourself is about your skills and experience. It is not about how many kids you have. It is not about what you do in your free time. It is not about your family. It's really not about you, the personal life. And because people get that confused, and it's very easy to just, tell me about yourself. When you start rambling about your life that you have, and it's easy for people to get caught up in that. So just remember that this question is about your skills, abilities, and what you've done in your past jobs. Why do you want to work at this company? Blow their head up. Do research on them. If it's a place like, Blue Ridge Community College, what else does Blue Ridge Community College do? And not just the place as a whole, but the specific role that you're applying for. I love working with people. So that was a big reason why I wanted this job. And in case management, helping people, that is very important to me. So blow their head up a little bit and know why you want to work for them. Strengths and weaknesses. I'll go more to the what are your weaknesses, because this can be a really tricky question. You still want to keep the answer positive and follow it up with how you are working to improve on it. So let's say, your weakness is time management. So you're self-aware that maybe your time management skills aren't the best, but what are you doing to combat it? Have you bought yourself a planner? Are you keeping a to-do list? What are you doing to combat that weakness and turning it into a strength? So it is all about how you word things a lot of the time. So, with those questions that are really tough to answer, then that's how you're self-aware, you explain it, but then what are you doing to combat it? You can't just say, well, my time management skills aren't that great. Oh, well, an employer, that's not what they want to hear. So, moving on to a couple of other big ones. And like I said, you guys can read this on your free time. This last one is usually one of the last questions that they'll ask you is, why should we hire you over the other applicants that we've had? And this is your time to really shine. This is your time to take everything that you've put on your resume, put on your application, and make a really good ending statement. Even if they don't ask this question, it's just good to have a really good ending statement of why they should hire you over the other person. And we can help you create that. We can help you practice that. It's good to have. Questions for you to ask the interviewer. Always, always, always have questions to ask them. Don't ever, whenever they ask, well, do you have any questions for us? Like, no, I think I'm good. Don't ever do that. You always have questions to ask them. And with your research in the company, usually you can, form a few questions to ask them. Even if it's something off the job description, can you tell me a little bit more about what this means or what these job duties entail? And then this last one, the CAR technique, really quick, this is another acronym I really like. It means context, action, and result. So this is how you can properly answer those tell me about a time when questions. So give me an example of a time you solved a major problem for your business. Tell me about a time you had to organize a large event. So you have the context, what was the situation, the setting of the scene, what action did you take, and then the result of that action that you took. So whenever you're getting prepared to answer those questions, remember this and know how to answer it. And these can be in your notes in your portfolio, but this is just a really good way of how to answer those, like tell me about a time when questions, because it lays it out, the context, the action, and the result of it. So I know we're out of time. I'm sorry. I feel like I rushed through that. But any last minute questions?
And do we have 1 minute, Ben?
Yeah, we're gonna lose Transylvania.
Okay.
Posted one.
One thing that didn't get sent in the material, and I plan to do that to Mr. Kish as soon as I get back to my office, is in the Career Center, we also offer you the opportunity to sit for the National Career Readiness Exam.